The Gaza Strip was subjected to new Israeli bombardments on Tuesday as part of the intensification of attacks against the Palestinian resistance. An army-run Mexican airline championed by President Andrés Manuel López Obrador takes to the skies, promising lower fares than its main rivals. In Venezuela, the Attorney General Tarek William Saab offered new revelations of the investigation into the case of the renowned singer and rapper Tyron Gonzalez, better known as Canserbero. Welcome to From the South. I am Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Stay with us. The Gaza Strip was subjected to new Israeli bombardments on Tuesday as part of the intensification of attacks against the Palestinian resistance. Despite international calls for a ceasefire, the Israeli occupation forces continue to shell in several areas in the Gaza Strip. This Tuesday, 81 days after the beginning of the aggressions, the Tel Aviv army perpetrated new attacks in the city of Jan Yunis and in the neighboring Rafah, on the border with Egypt, where thousands of displaced people are housed in tents. The death toll of these attacks is still unknown. The Israeli occupation forces intensified attacks on Gaza after the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated on Monday that the attacks would be stepped up until Gaza is demilitarized and Hamas is destroyed.
We are in a multi-stage war. We are under attack from 7 different sectors: Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, Judea and Samaria, Iraq, Yemen, and Iran. We have already responded and taken action in these sectors. And I say here in the most explicit way, anyone who acts against us is a potential target. There is no immunity for anyone.
Palestinian authorities stressed on Tuesday that at least 491 Israeli soldiers have been killed after more than 70 days of intensified violence against civilians in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. On the other hand, the Israeli occupation army announced the death of an officer and a soldier of the Zionist regime during the fighting in the southern Gaza Strip. The agency added that they are Reserve Sergeant Elisha Jahenotan Lober from the settlement of Yitzhar and Reserve Sergeant Joseph Guittards out of the battalion of the Tel Aviv. In turn, the military occupation forces also added that 4 troops were seriously wounded in fighting on Monday, and a reservist from the 6,646th Battalion was injured in the north of the Strip. The World Health Organization, WHO, warned that only 9 of the 36 hospitals in the Gaza Strip remain operational as a result of the Israeli genocidal actions. During the presentation of the agency's annual report, the director of WHO, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, called for a ceasefire to address the humanitarian and medical situation in the Gaza Strip. In this regard, Adhanom said that the Israeli attacks have seriously damaged the infrastructure of healthcare centers in Gaza, leaving many healthcare personnel killed. The organization's director also warned about the critical state of medical supplies in the Palestinian enclave and urged that they be allowed to enter the territory. Demonstrators rallied in Ramallah for the release of Palestinian prisoners held by Israel in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip.
We haven't received any news about him, not a share of information. We are extremely fearful, particularly after hearing about the mistreatment of prisoners, reports of beatings, abuse, hunger, and exposure to cold water inside the prisons. My message to the resistance: may God grant them victory, steadfastness, and accuracy.
We're here demonstrating, demanding the release of Palestinian prisoners. The world is paying attention to the Israeli prisoners, but nobody is talking about 8,000 Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails in the West Bank, including no less than 200 children, and thousands of people under administrative detention, which means they are imprisoned without charges.
Yemen's rebels claim responsibility for a missile strike against a ship in the Red Sea and a drone attack towards Israeli-occupied areas in Gaza.
The naval forces of the Yemeni armed forces, with the help of Almighty God, carried out a targeting operation against commercial ship MSC United with appropriate naval missiles. The targeting of the ship came after its crew refused 3 times calls from the naval forces, as well as repeated warning shots. The Air Force in the Yemeni armed forces carried out a military operation with a number of drones against the military posts in the al-Rashrash and other areas in the occupied Palestine.
In Vatican City on Tuesday, Pope Francis renewed his call for peace for war-torn peoples and summoned the peoples of the world to fight for peace.
In the sign of the Stephen witness, I am close to the Christian communities that suffer discrimination, and I urge them to preserve charity towards all, striving peacefully for justice and religious freedom. To the intercession of the first martyr, I also entrust the invocation of peace by war-torn peoples. The media show us what war produces. We have seen Syria, we see Gaza, we think of the tormented Ukraine, a desert of death. It is what is wanted. The peoples want peace. Let us pray for peace. Let us fight for peace.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where we will find news in different formats, news updates and more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. An army-run Mexican airline championed by President Andrés Manuel López Obrador takes to the skies, promising lower fares than its main rivals. The launch of the Mexicana de Aviación comes after the government announced in August that it was buying the brand of the carrier that went bankrupt 13 years ago. Its main base is Mexico City's second international airport, Felipe Ángeles, from where it will serve more than a dozen domestic destinations. One of López Obrador's flagship projects, the new airport at the north of the capital, has struggled to attract carriers since opening in March 2022. Since taking office in 2018, López Obrador has given increased responsibility to the armed forces, in addition to their public security role, including control of ports and customs, as well as major infrastructure projects.
We want to inform our colleagues in the media about a historic event, the return of Mexicana airline after many years without flying. We are going to consolidate this airline in the time we have left in office, and we are sure that those who will replace us will finish the job of strengthening Mexicana de Aviación.
In Venezuela, the Attorney General Tarek William Saab offered new revelations of the investigation into the case of the renowned singer and rapper Tyron Gonzalez, better known as Canserbero. During a press conference, the head of the Public Prosecutor's Office gave details about the definitive clarification of the double homicide of Tyron Gonzalez and his manager, Carlos Molnar. The public prosecutors indicated that there are a number of public officials involved as accomplices in the double homicide. In this sense, the Attorney General showed the confession of Maria Natalia Amestica as evidence obtained during December 19th, where she assumes her responsibility as the material author. Natalia Amestica prepared the crime scene, supplying sedatives into a tea drink, to which she added 10 milligrams of Alpram and then stabbed them to perpetrate the murders.
My name is Maria Natalia Mestica Moraga, ID 144300974. It is 1:30 in the morning of December 19 of 2023. I am making this video to publicly confess my responsibility for the double homicide of Carlos Molnar and Tyron Gonzalez Canserbero.
The Attorney General of Venezuela, Tarek William Saab, highlighted that with the results of the investigation, the name of Tyron Gonzalez, aka Canserbero, is vindicated in the national and international scenario.
I want to emphasize that today the name of Tyron Gonzalez Canserbero is vindicated at a world level, at a national level. Totally and absolutely vindicated. Those who tried to muddy his name by placing him first as a murderer, then as a suicidal, and at the same time as a schizophrenic, are the ones who are going to pay for this serious crime, because apart from murdering him physically, they wanted to murder him morally.
In Venezuela, Tyron Gonzalez, known as Canserbero, was an artist whose mark was framed in the world of rap. Born in Caracas, Tyron Gonzalez was a rap icon and representative of the South American country in several international freestyle rap battles. Canserbero's outrage was achieved by his song full of conscience and even with messages of peace that served as inspiration for the new talents of the genre. Due to his great influence in the world of rap and hip-hop, Canserbero's work was recognized throughout the world, crossing the language barrier and causing a sensation in non-Spanish-speaking countries. In Panama, severe drought affects agricultural and livestock areas, causing significant material and economic losses. Following statements from the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, the Central American country is facing an exceptionally longer dry season next year with little rainfall. Stressed that the lack of rainfall in the region is induced by the El Niño phenomenon, authorities urge farmers to take preventive measures to minimize the impacts of the drought. Several countries in Europe have been affected by rains and floods. Heavy rains and winds have caused huge flooding in the middle of the Christmas season, forcing citizens in Germany, the Czech Republic, and the Netherlands to abandon their homes. In Germany, firefighters and civil protection volunteers are deployed to reinforce dikes in the face of floods that have overflown rivers and streams. In the Czech Republic, authorities declared a maximum alert following the rainfall, while in the Netherlands, authorities warned that water levels are also particularly high, especially in riverside areas. In Angola, heavy rains left the province of Zaire in a state of alert due to the damage caused by soil saturation. Local authorities indicated that more than 1,800 citizens had their homes affected by the constant rainfall, which caused the collapse of 25 houses and flooding in 347 buildings. The administration of the province is working on the implementation of the contingency plan, which foresees the attention to the victims and the affected areas, to try to solve some of the main difficulties, such as landslides and cracks in the roads. For his part, the governor of the province urged the authorities and the citizens to keep informed of any emergency, since the territory is currently on the orange alert, and due to the continuity of the precipitations, it could quickly turn into red alert. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news, coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. Final short break. Don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. On Monday, the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, received the leaders of the Community of Independent States in St. Petersburg. According to local authorities, the leaders will take stock of the closing year, address issues of mutual cooperation, and discuss some topical international issues. In addition, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said that the countries of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and the Community of Independent States agreed to intensify military exchanges. He also said that the participants recognize the need to improve the mechanisms for the exchange of security-related information and to hold operational and combat training exercises. Russia's economy has become the largest in Europe and now competes with Japan for the fourth place in the world. Russian President Advisor Maxim Oreshkin said Moscow is ahead of all leading European Union countries. Oreshkin detailed that the nation is achieving a growth rate of the gross domestic product of up to 3.5% by the end of the year. The head of the Russian Central Bank, Elvira Nabiullina, said the country's economy is being restructured, so the government should be prepared for the increased sanctions against the country. Major international banks have cut more than 60,000 jobs this year. By 2023, the world's 20 largest banks cut at least 61,905 jobs, according to Financial Times estimates. This contrasts with more than 140,000 jobs cuts by the same banks during the global financial crisis of 2007 and 2008. The newspaper noted that the investment banks suffered a second consecutive year of falling fees due to the lack of public deals and quotes. So Wall Street is trying to protect profits margins through job cuts. The largest reductions, 20%, occurred at the UK's Metro Bank, followed by Switzerland's UBS with 10%, and in third place was Goldman Sachs with 7%. Jailed Senegalese opposition leader Ousmane Sonko has filed his candidacy for the February presidential election with the Constitutional Council, despite the state's refusal to provide him with the necessary documents. Sonko's supporter Bassirou Diomaye Faye also filed his candidacy, as reported Tuesday by Ousmane Ly, an official of his dissolved party, PASTEF. Like other candidates, Sonko had until December 26th to file his candidacy and demonstrate the collection of enough signatures. Last week, the national body managing the elections in Senegal did not provide Sonko's representative with the necessary documents to file his candidacy. His lawyers then said they would file the candidacy anyway, in the hope that the judiciary would be more responsive. 49-year-old Sonko was sentenced to 2 years in prison on June 1st on charges of corruption for minors. However, he has always denied the charges. The Democratic Republic of the Congo's Electoral Commission on Monday continued to release partial results from the presidential election, with incumbent leader Felix Tshisekedi leading by a wide margin of over 80% of the vote. The results announced so far relate to 1,876,827 voters out of a total of nearly 44 million registered in a country of around 100 million inhabitants. At this stage of the vote count, according to the Electoral Authority, Tshisekedi, who has ruled since 2019 and is running for a new term, achieved a score of 81.4%. He was followed by former governor of Katanga, Moise Katumbi, with 15.18%. The poll was set for one day, but was extended into Christmas in some remote areas due to logistical problems. In addition, there were allegations of irregularities by the opposition, which has demanded the annulment of the vote. The authorities of Barranquilla in Northern Colombia unveiled on Tuesday a statue of Shakira that was installed in the Grand Malecon of the city in honor of the famous singer born in that city. It is a structure of 6.40 meters high, cast in bronze, made by the plastic creator Gino Marquez, and its presentation was attended by the artist's parents William Mebarak and Nidia Ripoll, who expressed deep appreciation for the gesture. Local media say that the effigy becomes a symbol of unity and pride for Barranquilla, but at the same time immortalizes the most famous of his daughters and seal of cultural identity that projected its roots in every step of a successful career. Its installation began immediately, and it is expected to be another of the tourist attractions of the city. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net, and join us on social media: Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.